You are looking live at the ASTRODOME in Houston, where the Oilers take on the Dallas Cowboys in a battle for the bragging rights to the state of Texas. That's a prize in a state which loves to claim it has the best of everything. Also live, you're looking at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, where the Cardinals play host to the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are struggling, and this week their veteran quarterback, Lynn Dickey, benched himself. Starting in his place today, second-year man Randy Wright. Still live, we are now looking at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, where the Eagles and the New York Giants go at each other in the first rematch of the young season. In their opener 3 weeks ago, the Giants shut out Philly 21-0, but the Eagles have improved a lot since then. And finally, you're looking live at Soldier Field in Chicago, where it's the unbeaten Bears against the Washington Redskins, who have lost 2 of their first 3. The last time these teams met in the playoffs last year, that ferocious Bear defense swarmed all over Joe Theismann to score an upset. And the Redskin quarterback goes into today's game in the worst slump of his all-pro career.
The other starting quarterback in that game is Jim McMahon, who is giving the Chicago Bears a flashy new image both on and off the field. In fact, the second city now has its answer to Broadway Joe.
It's unbelievable, but even though it's only the 4th week, this is a day of reckoning for the 2 teams that went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. The season for both the Redskins and the Raiders is on the line, and I'm going to tell you which one of these teams will survive. All that and more coming up on the NFL Today.
NFL Today is sponsored by the 1985 Volkswagens. It's not a car, it's a Volkswagen. Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. And by GTE, we can do business with your business. And now, Brent Musburger.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to week number 4 of the NFL Today. You know, already we're down to just 2 unbeaten teams, the Chicago Bears and the Los Angeles Rams. I don't think the Bears are any surprise. We all knew they'd be tough again this year. But, Jimmy, how about the Rams and what they're accomplishing?
They've come up with an offensive line, a great defense, plus not only that, they don't have, remember that young blood guy that used to rush the passer? These guys are doing a great job. When Brock learns to throw that ball out of that secondary, he'll be all right.
Irv, you were on the floor of the Coliseum, though, and you saw an impressive performance by the best team in the NFL, the Niners.
It's an overworked word in sports, Brent, but the 49ers are awesome. I think the fact they lost their opening game really got them in a posture where they're in a frame of mind now where every week to them is Super Bowl week, and I think they'll go back.
You know, Irv, Joe Montana came over and he watched Texas practice. I was out there for the Stanford game. Montana's concerned about an injured back, however, that could slow him up as the season progresses. Speaking of college football, Irv, you realize at Northwestern, our Wildcats are doing well. Let me tell you something, folks. Ara Parsigan, he was out in Palo Alto yesterday. You know, he's now bragging about being the ex-coach at Northwestern rather than the ex-coach at Notre Dame. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what happened to Oklahoma. They finally played a game, did the Sooners, about 3 weeks into the season. And Barry Switzer had his hands full last night against Minnesota and Lou Holtz. And Oklahoma's star running back, Spencer Tillman, suffered a hamstring injury and did not return after gaining 73 yards. Now, Oklahoma led 13-0. Then it was Ricky Foggy of the Golden Gophers going to Kevin Starks, and with 4 minutes left, Minnesota was right back in it. But watch the Sooner defense rise to the occasion. Look for number 80, Troy Johnson, for the blind side, and the Sooners got him, and it's a 13-7 win. And it was a big night for this man right here. Eddie Robinson went into the game against Oregon State just 1 win shy of Bear Bryant's record. He opened up a 7-0 lead on that run by Wayne Hill. Then they sealed it up in the 4th. Terrell Landry went to Sherman Cowley, 3-yard TD, and now he has as many wins as Bear Bryant.
I have read about the things that Alonzo Stagg has done, and I was a contemporary with Coach Bryant. I want to make the same kind of contribution to football that they made, the same kind of contribution to the young people.
He has done a marvelous job down there, Irv.
Well, incredible. You know, years ago, he went to a pro-type offense, and he's got a lot of high-quality players coming out of that school. You know, but Brent, when he's describing one of his defensive linemen years ago, he described the guy as being too fast, too strong, and too mean.
Irv, let's bring out the NFL Today college football poll. I asked Jimmy the Greek, and let's make everybody mad down in Oklahoma. But you cannot overlook Michigan. 3-0 against that schedule that they've played. They haven't given up a touchdown yet. Florida State, the Seminoles second, then Oklahoma, Iowa, and Ohio State. Let's rank the bottom 5 this way. Nebraska, SMU, Oklahoma State, Penn State, and a big round of applause for Eddie Robinson and that Grambling team and the job they have done down there. Now, to change the storyline here to a much more serious subject, and that is, of course, the involvement of drugs in professional athletics. Baseball has made a lot of headlines off the field. Now, with us is the owner of the San Diego Chargers, Alex Spanos. He is live from San Diego. And, Alex, this week you have spoken out on the issue of drug testing in the National Football League. This is a two-part question. Are we troubled by drugs as much in pro football as we are in baseball? And what would you like to see the Players Association and the individual athletes accomplish in your league?
Well, as you know, Brent, I believe in random testing because I don't know of anything else that has worked or anything else that will work. But I know this, that if any player knows that we have the right to give them the urine test at any time we want, believe me, they'll think twice before they get involved in drugs. I have set a policy with the San Diego Chargers that if any player gets caught on drugs, that we will do all we can to help them, provided they help themselves. But they also know there's no second chance. And I've also gotten a lot of support from my players on random testing.
Alex, I want to bring in now the head of the Players Association, Gene UPSHAW. He is standing by live up in New England. And Gene, what is the Players Association position now on this drug testing that Spanos has suggested we go to?
Well, Mr. Spanos just got in the league, and he's new. He doesn't really realize that we have a collective bargaining agreement. That collective bargaining agreement expires in 1987. I would say that as far as random testing now, they don't have the right to do it, and if they try to do it without following the collective bargaining agreement, we will enforce our rights as players.
Gene, why don't the players, they'll want to stand up right now as individuals?
Well, I would tell you this, Brent. Right now, we have a policy. We have agreed to testing in the preseason. When a player reports to training camp, he is tested. If he is found that it is a positive test, then the club has a right to send him for the testing. They can't do it themselves. But I think we've gone and done a lot in the last agreement. Maybe we need to look at it. We're not opposed to looking at the policy, but right now we have one that's just not getting enough credit. We have testing.
Alex, you don't think the Players Association has gone far enough, though?
No, I really don't. I think they're making the effort. There's no question that they are, but it's going to take a great deal more than just voluntary testing. I don't buy that at all. I feel that, hey, maybe 1 out of 100 might come forth and say, hey, I have a problem, take care of me. And you're going to see that it's the players that have been tainted by some of their teammates. It's going to be, they're the ones that are going to see that it's going to take the players and the owners. And only they together can make this thing work.
Gene?
Well, I would say this. When we talk about random testing, we have given them that right in the last agreement. And it's not voluntary. If there's a reasonable cause, they can instruct the player to seek outside help, and they can enforce that. And we stand behind the collective bargaining agreement. The problem we have is that we feel that in some cases, they will use this testing to get rid of a player. If the President of the United States can't keep anything confidential, I sure don't trust anyone else doing it.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you both. It's a very complex subject and one that you seldom have enough time to really deal with on television. But we've got a lot of ground to cover here this afternoon. And next up is going to be the colorful quarterback of the Chicago Bears. Irv Cross was in Chicago to take a look at Jim McMahon. We'll be back with that story when we continue in just a moment.
Riding along in my GTI, my baby sitting by my side. I stole a kiss at the turn of a mile, my curiosity running wild. Cruising and playing the radio, with no particular place to go.
The new Volkswagen GTI is fun, even with no particular place to go. GTI, Motor Trend's Car of the Year. When a businessman is waking up in, say, Los Angeles, his main office in New York is already well into its day. And very often there's information the main office would like men such as this to have the moment they come in. Well, now, through a modern computer innovation called telemail, they can send them that information and have them punch it right up the minute they arrive.
Gee.
No, GTE. When the big Q flows, America goes.
Still beautiful, Dad.
Took your brother through college, take you wherever you want to go.
On Quaker State.
Right. Smooth oil flows what you want, protects the engine. See, Quaker State starts with Pennsylvania-grade crude, delivers stable viscosity.
You get great protection with the big Q.
Hey, how come you know so much?
From listening to you.
Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
It's the Bears and the Washington Redskins, and of course earlier in the week Dexter Manley said we're going to knock Jim McMahon out of the game. He has subsequently apologized for that comment, but I get the feeling, Irv, that that's going to be an old-fashioned Donnybrook in Chicago this afternoon.
When the Bear players heard about that, you get to see their eyes light up. You know, in recent years, Brigham Young has given us several outstanding quarterbacks. Most of them are straight arrows in keeping with the school's Mormon character, but that's not the case with Jim McMahon, who now stars for the Chicago Bears. He prefers to live in the fast lane, just like some other colorful quarterbacks we've seen over the years. Broadway Joe Namath redefined football's macho image. Sonny Jurgensen had the beer belly, the result of an active off-the-field life. And Dandy Don Meredith never took life all that seriously. Now enter Jim McMahon, the Bears' maverick quarterback.
I just like to do things differently. I like to keep a little spice in my life. Joe Willie was he was different at his time. He was, you know, Broadway Joe. You know, that's the way he did it, and he was successful.
From the moment he joined the team, the Bears knew he was a free spirit.
He came out of the limousine, he walked into the office, and of course we were waiting there to meet him, the general manager and myself and some other people, and he came walking in with his agent drinking a can of beer.
But on the field, Jim McMahon is all business, and he gets the job done. His teammates appreciate his value and let him know it. The rapport is open and natural. Last time out, Jim came off the bench and fired 3 touchdown passes to spark a Bear victory. He developed the skills that conservatives Brigham Young, and ironically, his flamboyant lifestyle began there as well.
I remember after one of our games, we were in Hawaii, and came back to the hotel a little late, and weren't ready for bed yet, so we went out on the balcony, and I decided to climb over the railing and just started swinging. I swung down to the 23rd floor. I woke up the next morning in a cold sweat, you know, thinking about what I had done the night before. And now I can't even get near a railing without, you know, doing this. It scares me.
He's not like most quarterbacks that are walking around with a playbook in their hand and, you know, talking to the coaches about, you know, what can we do here, what can we do there. Jim, he enjoys life. And when I say enjoy it, I mean to the fullest.
I wouldn't say I was a student of the game, no, because I don't watch a lot of film other than the film that the coaches make us watch. I've always picked things up very easily, or it's come to me naturally. I've never really had to work at the game.
The good times have always come easily, too. Every Thursday night he hangs out with his big brothers, the offensive line.
Without them, you know, I wouldn't be out there any Sundays. Those guys are the ones that, you know, that have your life in their hands, you know. And if you make one of them mad, you can spend a lot of time in the hospital.
Even with those guys on his side, he's taken his lumps. A broken hand, lacerated kidneys, back spasms, you name it. But he's always come back, and that's a sign of a true grit performer.
I think it's all part of the game. You know, you got to play with some pain. and I played with enough pain to, you know, it really doesn't bother me anymore.
He picks up the check for those dinners with the linemen?
Most of the time, but they try to stick a rookie anytime they can.
Well, you know, last week, Irv, Jimmy the Greek and I, we had a bit of a train wreck in trying to pick winners.